Hi, and welcome to my video that gives you a little bit more insight about what you might find information wise about your project for when you're wanting to do your claims or find out what's happening on site with your projects. So, here we can see on the front page our productivity graph for this job that we've been looking at. And we can see that the productivity target is really high on this job. And so we might be wondering, why is it so high? Like, why are they actually achieving a lot better than what I thought they were going to in their productivity? And so to look at that, I can look at a few things. Now, on the front, we've got our productivity graph. Right now, we're looking at it in score view. And so that means the scores up the side, like what's the actual target and score is graphed here. And the dates are along the bottom, and we can see the individual lines. If we wanted to change that to percentage view, it comes out a little bit like this. Now we can see the percentages up the side, and we can see how are they going as a percentage ratio, and that's what gives us this job productivity score right here. And that means we're talking about a percentage variance to the target. So in when we're looking at a percentage variance, hitting your target is exactly a 0 percentage variance. If you got 20% about above your target, or you got 8 out of 10, for example, 20% below, then that would show as a percentage variance on this graph. Now, if we wanted to dig a little bit deeper as to why the percentage target was so high on this job, we can use these little toggle boxes just here to give us some information about specific areas of the job or materials. So if I wanted to look at just natural grey blocks, for example, I can have a look here and I can see, well, actually, for the natural grey blocks, they're pretty much just sitting at a thing just right above the target line, probably just what I would have expected. And so that's not what's causing it to be so far above the target. But if I have a look at saw cuts here, I can see that that's what's been really a lot higher above the target. And so that means they're doing their saw cutting on site a lot quicker than what I allocated for them in their labor budget or their labor time that they had. And so that gives me some information about where they're up to and why they're getting such a good result on this job. Now that gives me some information from when I'm tendering next time. Maybe I don't need to allow as much time. Maybe I do need to allow that much time because it gives me that extra profit buffer that I like on the job. And so when I'm doing my claim, I can come in here. If I'm just doing a claim on the whole contract of my percentage complete, I can just use this figure that's right out here on the front screen here on the summary, which tells me that I'm 28% complete of this job. But if on my claim I need to break down a little bit further as to exactly where I'm up to with each specific item, I can come in here to where they track their productivity and I can see these progress bars, and I can use this little button just here in the corner to toggle in and to find out exactly what they've completed in each of those areas, what they had to start with, what they've completed, and what is remaining. So I can use that information from my claims, for my ordering, for my scheduling of what the guys have got left to do on site, and that's really great. Now, if I have a situation where the people on site are there and they need to complete some variation work, what happens then is when the guys are doing their timesheets, they can come in here, and these yellow timesheets are suggested timesheets. So if on this day all of the guys were actually completing variation work, what I would do is I would pop in here 8 hours of variation time for each of those people. And it might not be everyone. Maybe some people are just doing variation work. And so I'm going to just put in the variation time for the people that are. So when I do some variation work, we come in here. Now I can see on this day I've got 56 hours of variation time. Now, what I would expect from my guys, if I have variation hours of 56 there that I need to do on my claim, I would expect to see a day labor docket or a hire docket for those guys that are on site. And what that looks like is when they come in and do a hire docket, they'll fill it out and it looks like this on site. They can put in what they did and get somebody to sign it, the foreman on site, and download it as a PDF. And you can use those for when you're doing your claims. Now, I'll come in here and I'll show you how they actually get to the forms. They can come in here and they can create a form and have all of your hire dockets, day labor dockets, ITPs, machine equipment, pre-starts, toolbox talks, all of that stuff can be kept digitally. Now, there's another video up on site which you can check out that talks all about how to create forms in TradeUp.